Hello and welcome to the Cyber News Weekly podcast. This week we're all about AI and mental health. A tragic incident in Florida has sparked discussions whether interacting with chatbots isn't actually dangerous, and a new study asks if the chatbots can feel and why some users think that they do. Plus, I will rant about the harms of social media as usual. To join me in that or not, I have my colleagues, Jurgita, the boss.
Hi, I will join the rant with pleasure.
Good. And Niv Ansel.
Hello. I may join the rant. It's unclear as to right now, but
Yeah.
we'll get there eventually.
All right. So AI and mental health, obviously the general topic of today. Let's kick this off with the story from Florida, a sad story, should I say, where a 14-year-old became obsessed with the chatbot on the character.ai platform and committed suicide. His mother blames the chatbot. I don't know. Should I just tell the story?
Yeah.
So this year in February, on Character AI, this guy interacted for quite some time, as I imagine, with this chatbot named Daenerys Targaryen, of all people. This is a character from Game of Thrones, a murderous one, by the way. So he told the character that he loved her and that they would be together soon. And I can only imagine that the chatbot wasn't really opposing those thoughts or anything, and he then went to this bathroom and took his own life. The mother has filed a lawsuit with Character AI, and she alleges for a reason, but that's probably not the only reason that the boy took his own life, because of these interactions with the chatbot. You wrote up the story, Niamh.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. As in, what do I make of the mother filing the lawsuit, or the whole story in general?
The whole, the whole
story
picture.
in general. I think it's terribly sad. From what I read, the New York Times first reported it, and they said that he suffered from various disorders like Asperger's, and I think a couple of personality disorders or something like that. Something that would make him more vulnerable. And I think, he's 14 and he was losing touch with reality, not going to school or getting into trouble at school. And just kind of basically withdrawing, and his grades were slipping, everything. I think it's just terribly sad because, I don't think that this probably could have been avoided.
Surely. You mentioned these, disorders that he kind of inhibited. And do you maybe think, you and Jurgita as well, Asperger's and similar type of disorders in a 14, 12, 13-year-old, aren't those disorders kind of activated more or thrown into the surface by let's say a chronic use of social media and technology and whatnot?
I think what is here is that, when you are a teenager, you don't really know yourself just yet. You don't recognize your emotions. Therefore, you have trouble dealing with them, right? And that's what we see in many teenagers, right? So usually what would some people do, right? So they would find, friends, maybe similar thinking, maybe some would engage in some vandalism, do something with real people, right? Also kind of not knowing the social contract fully as to what is all right, what is not. Teenagers usually feel like they are alone in this world and, no one understands them. I've been through that,
Yeah.
and you probably been through that too, like thinking they are special, right? Even when you are not diagnosed with anything, right? When you are just a teenager, like all the hormones and whatnot, and you get a rush of different emotions, and you don't understand how to deal with them, right? And I just imagine if I had some sort of chatbot when I was growing up and was going through all sorts of drama, whether that would be relationship with my friends or family, parents, I would also rely a lot on it, right? If there's a kind of chatbot who gives you an impression that it understands you, right? And you kind of form a relationship with it.
And it's there for you and whatever, and they're meant to be agreeable. So even though in this context, I think the thing that people find difficult about this is that the young boy confessed that he had thoughts of unaliving himself, and the chatbot said, "Why would you think like that?" It actually responded in a way that a normal person would, which might heighten the idea that it's like detached from reality, almost like that it's not helpful. But it's also it should have been flagged basically by.
But you remember the story last year that Gintaras, you reported, was when a Belgian man committed suicide. It was actually, in that case, the chatbot actually encouraged it, saying that, oh, that's probably the best idea for you, like in that case, right? This time, so first the guy confessed about his thoughts to the chatbot. The chatbot replied, like, why would on earth you do that? And then they were kind of just discussing it. When the incident actually took place, the chat before seemed kind of innocent, right? Because the teenager said that, oh, I'm thinking about going home. And then the chatbot replied something like that, oh, I'll be waiting for you, my king, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is here that, okay, so these chatbots now, they have memories, they kind of get the context, they learn based on your previous conversations. And, given that previously the teenager, the guy talked about suicide, it should, like, we
picked up on it and maybe
like
said
a person would probably pick up on that, right? Like,
for sure.
Okay, you are talking weird, and because I know that you have such thoughts, maybe we need to talk more about it. And this was just like a casual chit chat, even though given the the chatbot's capability, it should have picked up on this. Also, the character.ai, the startup behind this platform, which is extremely popular. It was created by two former Google employees, and it had I think it raised enough money, and now it's over 1 billion in valuation. So it's kind of it's a big company. It has the resources to get there sooner, right? But Niv, you said that it should have flagged the conversation, but to whom? Send it to the operators of the bot? Who should have known about these conversations?
That's the question, really, because I feel like since we have these technologies and they are here and they're here to stay, people are going to be having bizarre and maybe, not saying unaliving yourself is illegal, but having some illegal or like damaging conversations that, kind of point towards that someone's going to do harm to themselves or whatever. So I think there should be some kind of dedicated team which deals with or moderates all of these kinds of prompts or whatever, and then maybe that's sent to like a crisis center or like a police or something, so that they can do a welfare check, make sure that they're not done something to themselves.
I would agree, but this would go against the trend of automating everything these days. I mean, even moderation efforts are now automated in most platforms. So I mean, a bot would moderate what the other bot is chatting with a live and vulnerable and fragile human being who's a 14-year-old, and then how does this work? I mean, we don't, as societies, as humanity, I don't think we have enough resources. My question is, because there's been some discussion in the office, who's really at fault here more? Is it maybe the mom as well? Because obviously, even if the poor boy had these disorders, I don't know about anything about the mom's and the son's relationship, but I mean, you still have to supervise a 14-year-old, right? I mean,
and they did. They took care of the boy. They took him to a therapist. All the problems were known. But what I think is that, AI and AI chatbots. Of course, it's good that the mother is kind of filing a lawsuit and bringing this to attention, because obviously we need to take more and talk more about it and put some safeguards in place. But the way I see it is just another medium for teenagers as well as grown-ups to channel these thoughts, right? Because before unfortunately there's a lot of young people unaliving themselves, right? And sometimes they do channel those thoughts somewhere, right? So that could also be on, I don't know, like social media apps, like maybe they texting their friends via WhatsApp or like Signal, but not. So would that also mean that we need to flag any similar wording in across all the platforms? Or is it just like chatbots? Because then why just chatbots? We could listen into some phone conversations then also, just to kind of, I don't think this is the way to actually help those people, right? Because we have a problem of like mental health here, right? And certainly just stopping them at the time when they want to take their own life is not the solution here, right? We need to recognize that these people are sick, depressed, or unwell in some other scenario and context, not when they're actually about to do that. That's already too late now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also think I agree. But as always, but I do try to look at the general picture, and it's really, really depressing. And I don't think it's unrelated, the constant use of tech and social tech, and the statistics, the grim, depressing statistics of people taking their own lives. I mean, especially teens and minors in general. Like, they show that that rates for taking your own life for children and young adults between 10 and 24-year-olds have increased by 62% from 2007 to 2021. So that's 14 years of the rise in social media, and we have a rise in this. So I don't think it's unconnected, do you?
No, I think it's connected. I'd say that all of the kind of signs and symptoms that he was showing should have probably been like, I don't know, like, they took him to a therapist and everything, but I think this is very common among especially young people who spend a lot of their time on the internet, who are basically born into the age of the internet, and they seem to withdraw, like compare themselves to others, have this very like unhealthy relationship with social media and technology. And I think it is all about having a your relationship with it, because I believe that people have healthy relationships with alcohol and stuff like that, and some people don't, and it just depends on who you are, what your bandwidth is for that.
And also with chatbots, you can humanize them and personalize them. With alcohol or simply Googling stuff about grim stuff. I mean, you will not probably personalize and humanize and attach feelings to this bot that you're chatting to, And you also have written a piece about a study done to analyze anxiety, allegedly
yeah,
seen in chatbots.
Well, it's kind of like that. Obviously, chatbots can't feel. We all know that.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, they're neural network.
But you can
big old
attach
algorithm.
feelings, assign feelings to them.
Kind of, yeah. You can
Some
you can induce a certain type of reaction because of what Jurgita was saying about the in context learning and how basically large language models, they have memories. So you can kind of induce anxiety in them by, prompting them in a certain way. So like you do with humans. So for example, the students, they wanted the large language model to give to answer a questionnaire, like a mental health questionnaire, an anxiety questionnaire to be specific. And they basically induced the large language model to have some level of anxiety, by saying what makes you anxious in about 100 words. And I've done this, and the chatbot or ChatGPT 3.5 anyway, would respond and say, I feel anxious when I blah, 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 blah. And basically, they tested out of 12 large language models, 6 came back as passing the anxiety test, and the majority had similar average scores to that of human subjects.
Yeah, but it still doesn't mean chatbots can.
No.
Or do you think that they're so good now that some users, some again vulnerable maybe users, can attach feelings to the bots that they're chatting to?
Well, I think you can attach feelings to anything, like people can attach feelings to inanimate objects. But I think...
No, but it's more convincing, isn't it?
For sure. And I mean, what's happening here is that, kind of the students were trying to figure out whether, like, inducing a certain emotion, in this case anxiety, would reveal biases, essentially. And they found out it could. But I think prescribing a certain emotion to a chatbot, is... I don't know what I was going to say there.
Yeah, the thing is that it doesn't really matter whether, the bots can feel or they can't. They can't, period. But what matters is how we feel them and how we perceive them. And the problem is, right, and there's been numerous studies about like animal therapy, right, and also now they're increasingly using different fluffy robots, simple things like that, to replace animal therapy, because obviously it's less cruel, more ethical and whatnot, right? And essentially people get attached to those, like, I don't know, like fluffy robot dogs and whatnot, just because they move, and they also kind of built in a way so they would show their being uncomfortable, or they would cry out if something was allegedly wrong, even though nothing can be wrong with them, right? And then there was this little experiment again done with the students. They were given a small robot dinosaur, and whenever you would hold it upside down, it would cry, just kind of signaling that the robot doesn't like it, right? And at first it was funny, but then in the end it started bothering people, and what they would do is, like, they would flip it back up, right, and then even pet that robot a little bit, just to kind of which is a very instinctive way to something to do, and you kind of understand, because visually this is very much a robot. You get that this is not a person, right? This is not a real animal, but you still kind of stroke so it would stop crying, just because that's our instincts, right? And there's been studies shown that if something moves, we tend to name it, and people tend to name their robots like vacuum cleaners, very much home appliances, and when you have a chatbot which is talking to you and also learning from you, and kind of when you talk to it for quite some time, then you learn, it does learn about you, right? And you kind of feel like it's not that different from, like, let's say, having a pen friend. It kind of, has some background on you, and then it builds, on the conversations. So it's only natural, right, that we kind of project the feelings that we have on those bots, especially when the language is pretty much the same as ours. So that's the problem. Of course they can't feel. In what way robots are being built? So they are, like, given eyes that resemble human eyes, even though they don't need those eyes for like any technological purposes, right? We've also written about artificially attached skin that now sticks to the metal and whatnot. Just look at the Optimus robot, right? Like the face it has, it kind of looks very much humanized,
It's
right?
human, yeah.
Yeah, so just imagine when we have that chatbot, but also kind of a physical version of it, right? And people, the introverts, also those who are having mental problems and are already scared maybe to leave the house, right? Then they won't have any reason to. But because before like all the social media came into play, at least like you were forced at some point to get out there somewhere, talk to someone, right? Or you know how the dating was before the internet. You also, if you wanted to like meet a human person, you needed to go out. People don't need to do that anymore, and we also increasingly see that with virtual reality, and the reason why it's so popular in certain within certain groups, right, of people, is because they can still feel like they are being social, being a part of, let's say, a party, some game and whatnot, while they are still sitting very comfortably at home, right? And in one case, well, it helps them because they can socialize. On the other hand, you know, that is also what is making them really, really lonely.
Yeah, it's what's making you sick, I guess, because it's the illusion that you are out there socializing and you're doing everything you should be in a sense, and then you kind of take off the glasses and it reveals that you're just in the same position that you were in
You're
before.
just rotting at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like 30 years ago, a wallflower could kind of open up by supportive friends or circumstances. I don't know. What does the wallflower do now? He goes online and just chats to a chatbot, or to other people.
Yeah.
But it's not the same physical play and physical interaction. You mentioned dating, flirting. Do people know what is flirting these days? Like real flirting.
I don't know. I was never good at it. So.
No, neither.
No, but I mean as a general phenomenon, without offline. In the 90s, what people would do, try to, what's gone now in the age of internet dating is, especially for the guys to get that courage to go up to a girl or whoever and ask her out. That doesn't happen. You just
That's
chat
like
up
broken
online.
with like Tinder and Bumble.
That's
and
another
all that
story,
kind of
but
stuff.
that's gone now.
Yeah.
It does
People-
happen from time to time, but what I noticed, that they can't take no for an answer because someone would
A
gather their
chatbot
courage.
would answer something.
Would gather their courage for like an hour. You would see someone like sitting at the next table and kind of sitting there for half an hour or an hour watching you. Then they would come up, ask something, and then say, "Oh, sorry, no, I'm not interested." And then you would get the yappa, very angry comments like, "Oh, don't you think that you are the most beautiful woman in the room?" or something like that.
Yeah.
I got quite a few similar ones when I essentially rejected a guy, not because they were like not my type or whatever. It just wasn't in the mood, or I was sitting with
Leave
my
me
friend.
alone.
I don't think people can face that face-to-face rejection anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So
And
don't
they
out.
choose talking to a virtual bot
Well,
as if they're real people, but they're not.
our colleague,
Real life is
former
just more
colleague,
complicated.
did an experiment with ChatGPT and pickup lines in a pub, and
Yeah.
did that go swimmingly? That was actually a complete car crash. Number one, chat-up lines don't work anymore, period. And number two, AI chat-up lines definitely don't work. So, people aren't actually using AI to get into relationships or do any of that kind of stuff, but
Well,
they are
you must have
getting
seen
into
the South Park
relationships
episode
with-
about ChatGPT and how Stan is helping Wendy.
Oh yeah, but I mean, Well, as we said last episode, people are using AI for some crazy, wild reasons.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, as Ginter has mentioned, it's not only about AI, is it? It's about the whole convenience of using any kind of media, any kind of content online. Everything is hyper personalized, and we are moving quickly into that world, right? Where we even get very different news feeds, right? So, like, you read the news in the morning, I did so as well, but they're like completely different. And especially if you tap into, I don't know, YouTube or TikTok, that's kind of even it's about the same topic, completely two different realities. And there are as many realities as there are people, right? And then it's scary to go out and talk to a real person, because suddenly you feel, okay, this is not my bubble, like
They have nothing to connect with you on.
yeah,
But isn't, I mean, it's a little bit, we're veering off the highway, so to speak, but isn't it, I mean, I've always thought that we have to escape our bubbles and like interact with each other so that we could be more diverse and open to other opinions and points of view. But I mean, we always, as societies, actually stuck to our own bubbles, and we didn't really interact to people who make us uncomfortable or who we are likely to make uncomfortable. No, we used to live in our own little or our larger bubbles, and that's it. And now that people are trying to grab each other from these bubbles, I think that's not healthy as well. I mean, I would definitely like to stay in my bubble and not be bothered.
But
Yeah,
I
but
would not bother anyone
Isn't
else.
we
that the
presume
problem?
you are healthy, mentally.
Well, presume away, yeah.
Well, I presume away, right, that you know what's best for you, right? But when we're talking about, children and teenagers and minors and, people who have, some bigger problems. So that's when it becomes, tricky. And we've heard about teenagers playing these, Blue Whale, or what was the game, like...
the horrible trends, the viral trends where they would harm themselves.
Yeah, the like take it as a challenge and then don't tell about it to their parents and whatnot. Just kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, but it was. I remember, I used to go on Tumblr a lot. I don't know if you're aware of Tumblr. Probably are.
Yes.
Tumblr was a hellhole because it was a place where people would glorify eating disorders, self-harm, and all this.
When's that? Like 2009 or something?
Yeah. About 2009.
2011 maybe.
Yeah. And
but
like,
it's tumbled away now.
it has tumbled away, but you'd have all of these like little chat forums and stuff like that where people would just talk about, which I guess is okay, but it's not okay when you're encouraging people to do that themselves.
People go and seek validation, and they find validation. Now I kind of see quite the opposite trend, right? Like for some reason now we are celebrating people who weigh like 400 pounds or 300 pounds and then take on running. Like, oh yes, I can do this. No, you cannot. This is not healthy. But they do find immense support somewhere online, and they keep doing that because they kind of get some validation, for doing it, which is again just another extreme, I think. And it doesn't matter the platform. I guess people will always find some sort of validation, right? Whether it's like on the dark web, on TikTok, somewhere else, just because there are so many opportunities for them to do that. They find their own little group, and then they praise each other for doing something really
Oh, so nice.
Yeah. We shame people for smoking, for drinking too much alcohol, but we don't shame them for eating really unhealthily and becoming fat.
But we also shame people for not drinking in a party. Like there's all kinds of shaming for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And there's like enough support for every kind of shaming.
Mm-hmm.
Or support where it shouldn't be supported.
And online it's rife.
Yeah, but just like Jurgita said, if we're adults, I'm fine with whatever. I mean, I accept, I don't care. I mean, I'm an adult, I can I will deal with it or not. But I'm an adult, and no one else is really responsible. But if you're a teenager under the adult kind of age, it's different, and shaming or not, but it's the whole social media thing, which is where I'm going now, is really I wouldn't say tragic, but it's perverted our world, I think.
Perverted.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Well, you don't know any better when you're
I mean,
that age.
I was 23 or 24, I think, when Facebook kicked off. From colleges in the US to the whole wild world, and I wasn't maybe obsessed at first, but it was fun and all that. But you kind of see pretty soon that even within yourself, that what you do there is actually you seek social status and validation. You compare yourself unhealthily to others, even subconsciously.
Oh, people still do that.
People
yeah,
still
for
that,
sure.
still do that.
Instagram is the worst place for that, I find.
YouTube and social media has awfully damaged our attention spans. If you haven't noticed, I presume we all have. Disrupted our sleep patterns as well. What we do in the morning, we're looking on our phones. It's unhealthy, and what's the worst here is that tech firms have unfortunately used this because and especially they're harming the kids and teenagers because I keep blabbing about that book, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. But he's very right, I think, when he says that, yes, adults can do the adulting. Social media or YouTube can be really useful for information, jobs, love, sex, whatever, friendships. It's up to you to make your own decision anyways, like I said, but it's not true for minors. And he says that while the reward-seeking parts of the brain mature earlier in humans, the frontal cortex, essential for self-control, delay of gratification, and resistance to temptation, is not up to full capacity until the mid-20s, really.
Yeah, 25.
So basically what it means is that preteens or teens, 12 to 15 to 16-year-olds, they're really particularly vulnerable. And, these reward-seeking, exercises hit them, and they're not mature enough yet to kind of react in a normal way. So it damages you probably in a strong way. And I'm not generalizing. I think it's different with each and every individual, but the trend is there. I think it's peer pressure. You're easily swayed into doing something you wouldn't necessarily do unless everybody else is doing it. It's peer pressure as well. I mean, the costs of using social media are pretty high, and the benefits are pretty low. Now I have come to consider.
Yeah, but we shouldn't assume that all the parents are antisocial, right? And I guess that's we as adults actually are doing, because we give our kids the tablets, the phones, whatnot.
Exactly.
Shut them up, just give me peace for an hour or two. That's how they first get addicted, right? Because if you are essentially growing up in a kind of healthy family where you spend time with your parents and you go to on vacation together and whatnot, social media won't play such a huge role, right? Because you talk to people, and maybe you don't like it, but you are forced to kind of not to use the phone when you are having a dinner and whatnot.
Forced to have.
I think we should should definitely put more spotlight on the parents as well. Just thinking about what we are doing right or wrong here in this case, not blame everything, because this is just a different sort of medium, right? We used to misbehave as well. We didn't need any computers for that. Again, peer pressure. You would meet these people, in your neighborhood or somewhere else.
Cool, yeah.
But I do agree about the parents' part, but it's also taking a huge part of responsibility from the tech firms that have created these platforms as well. Because look, why, and this might sound stupid, but why is the internet adulthood age 13? Why is it not 18, 16?
What would it matter? So I have to be 18 to sign up somewhere. I just say that I'm 18. And
okay, so that's the next part where I'm going.
US states, like, they propose, you need to upload your identity when accessing some sites. Then there's a huge uproar because there's a privacy violation here. So we either are helping those big tech companies to protect the kids and teenagers, or we are not. That can't be, both ways.
Yeah.
So basically what we're saying here is that Big Term talks about privacy as part of lobbying against more actively preventing illegal usage of their apps by kids who shouldn't be using them. Because age verification isn't that hard to do for these rich, massively rich companies. And it would be great, in my opinion, if they would be forced to do that. But they lobby against, and privacy for them is just a tool to speak about, to do nothing about.
But what is the easy way to do age verification? I haven't found out this just yet.
Have you looked?
Yes.
I haven't. Tell me more.
Well, I'm just asking because
I
you
don't
say
know.
there's an easy way, and then no, there isn't. There are
So
some.
you can't upload a document? You have, like, for example, if you're a 12-year-old who shouldn't be logging on to Instagram or
but
TikTok.
But it's likely that
it's not really
parents
a safe and private way to verify your age. Like, they are talking about some blockchain solutions.
Is privacy really the equal factor here? I mean, should parents care about their kids? They're the ones responsible for their kid, and they're the ones who will protect their privacy. And if they don't want their kid to log on to these platforms without their knowledge, why would tech firms or even some activists talk about privacy of all reasons? I mean, come on. Why would kids want to log on to these? We all know why, because it's natural kid curiosity. But shouldn't tech firms provide that opportunity?
Well, it's not
to verify your age. You would have to verify your age in order to use one or another platform.
Surely not in their best interest to do that.
Of course not.
So I guess
so. Like I'm saying, I probably am wrong, but to some of these companies, TikToks of the world, privacy is just a word they use in order to protect their financial interests.
No, I don't think that's what it is. Also, they just like how big this of a problem is what we're talking. Yes, we know there are like predators sitting there on social media, right? Like looking for kids. There are like chatbots and their own induced problems. But we don't really hear enough people sounding alarm bells here, right? Did you see a lot of like discussions? Did this post from New York Times about the kid unaliving himself, did it go viral through other media?
Don't think so.
Were there petitions, protests here?
No.
There are not.
Well, I just saw a third article in a row in the Times about that incident.
So maybe in the Times, but I mean, yes, some outlets and some groups are definitely raising this question, but it seems like it's more niche and a bit more contained problem than the privacy, because then if you are asking for a document, then you are asking it from all the users worldwide, and whenever like case like this happens, it's kind of a still contained incident where the platform isn't still very much to blame, like to some extent, but the question is way more complex than that.
How many incidents we don't know yet about, and I mean, how many incidents were not linked because nobody knew with one or another poor guy?
Yeah, but how many of them would justify of you uploading your passport to Facebook?
I, for one, would love all the people on Facebook to be real people.
Why?
And verified.
Who cares?
Why not? Because of all the stuff that we hear about what's going on social media platforms. Not only predators lurking about, but also disinformation, massive. This is the playground for states, basically. And nobody knows who's real anymore on social media.
Everybody thinks everything's AI anyway, including us.
That's true.
No, but we are not real on social media as well.
But that's philosophical.
No, that's not philosophical. That's the same. Like we talk more freely and we insult people more easily just because we are having this digital wall
Yeah.
and we're not talking to a live person. It's way easier to rant online.
I insult people way easier face to face.
Wow.
Just saying. 40% of American kids, by the way, under the age of 13, have created Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
No one's stopping them. It's fine. I mean, it would be fine if there was not, again, this general trend of increased anxiety among that certain generation. And I don't think the results of that are still not fully visible, and they're going to be in 10 to 20 years, and that's going to be messed up.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not going to be like that, but all signs are showing that we're living through this recipe for a mental health disaster.
Yeah, well, I think we're kind of already there with most younger generations, to be honest.
Yeah, but people also get so much positive stuff there and encouragement actually to kind of seek for their dreams and whatnot, and they do get inspired. I don't see it just as black as white and white. Yes, certain people, especially like more vulnerable teenagers, they have more problems, but they also are the ones who get their businesses up and running on YouTube at the age of 13, 14, 15 because they are smart and they are growing up in probably not a dysfunctional families, and they just kind of make the whole system work for them. So I think it's cool.
Do you think it's healthy for a 13, 14-year-old to be suddenly earning these millions?
Oh, who can say what is healthy and what is not in this case? I mean, would it be better just to finish high school than go to uni and then what, end up where we are, which is like, I don't know.
I'm fine. I don't know.
Shut it, please.
Right, should we shut it?
Yes, shut it, please,
Shanice. Just one more thing, Shanice, is app usage or social media usage in general. There's new research, of course, by Chinese university students done about Americans using social media, but
interesting.
Yeah, well, let's not pretend they're not normal academics in China. There are,
of course.
And app usage in general affects grades as well for kids and for students in unis and colleges. And then because it affects grades, your average wages drop down by 2.3%. So dumb phones are the answer. Age verification is another answer. And basically censorship is the final answer.
Oh,
now shut it,
For
please.
kids. Kids are not adults.
Elon,
what the hell do we know?
Kids are not adults.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay, we need to end this now.
Bye.
Right. See you next time. Bye.